Hello everyone. Today we have another interesting topic. What I'll do is I'll show you for an OpenSearch or an Elasticsearch cluster how, and I'll use the latest version of OpenSearch, so how we can take snapshots, because we have multiple ways using a Curator or using API. I showed the methodology using Lambda as well as using Event on how we could do both. It could be daily, it could be hourly, or any frequency that you want, and that will ensure that your data for Elasticsearch or OpenSearch is maintained and you have backup for that as well. In this process, what I'll also do is I'll show you how to go about creating a VPC, creating a cluster, as well as I'll show the new GUI, which is the OpenSearch Dashboard. Earlier it was called Kibana, and what setup is required for that as well. But before we get to that, as usual, please like, subscribe, share our channel. Also, we have released our weekly newsletter. Please subscribe to that so that you are up to date on the latest cloud technologies and trends. So without further ado, let's get to it. Console in my portal in AWS, what I'll do is I'll first go to OpenSearch, and this is where I need to create a new cluster. I'll create a domain, Arina domain, and don't choose this. I think in the previous video, one of the videos we had done, don't choose this, just choose EasyCreate, because EasyCreate will go and create a lot of nodes. You don't need it, and I don't need production, I just need dev, because I'm just demonstrating to you all. I don't need standby. I just need one easy. It's going to show a yellow status, but that's fine. Right, so pick the latest one. Like obviously we have worked with all older versions as well, but just for the sake of this, I'll show you the latest setup as well. Obviously for Elasticsearch memory is going to be important, and I'll just choose, because this just for demonstration purposes, and if I can choose a lower instance, let me see if there's a M5 family that I could use. Probably not. So let me try reducing and see. I guess they're probably not memory optimized. Maybe a general purpose is what I could choose. I'll just go with the T3 small. And I just need one node to start, and I'm not focusing on the architecture, I'm not focusing on the replica. My intent is only to show in this video how to go about taking a snapshot, deleting a snapshot, so you have data backup in OpenSearch, aka Elasticsearch. This is the same. You could apply the same methodology to Elasticsearch, right? It was, in fact, before just a year ago, this was the same. It was Elasticsearch called, just that Elasticsearch wanted to take out the licensing and no longer open source. That's what the setup is. I don't need 10 G, 100 GB. I just need, probably, it should be 10. Okay. So I just need 10. 3000 probably is fine. I don't need a dedicated master node. I don't need any of this. I don't need a custom endpoint. I'll give public access, but you should definitely have VPC. But for this, I'll just keep it public. And you would want to have right finder and access control, and let me just do this for now. And I'll create a master user, because I don't want to kind of get to the IAM part. Give a username, that give a password. Yeah. None of this I need as of now. I don't need any of this. Let's leave it for 9. Right, so this is, we'll anyways come back and change it. You should have this, and you should definitely go for your own encryption key, but I'll just leave it default for now. And this is where you could have the peak window, automatic software update, and any cluster setting that you may have. That's a simple setup, nothing much. Just go with don't go with standard, don't go with EasyCreate if you want to do it. But if you have an enterprise, yes, look into EasyCreate, but look into the amount of nodes you want, because you don't want to pay unnecessarily for compute. So click create. It'll take some time. And in the meanwhile, let me go and show what all is required for the OpenSearch cluster. So while the cluster has been created, just wanted to show the setup of how we're going to be going about taking a snapshot. You don't need to have a Lambda function. You could always use a CLI or a command line. You could have a cron job as part of your Linux instance and do it there in a number of ways. I just want to show in serverless methodology instead of you having to manage the compute instances on how you go about taking the snapshot, persisting it in S3 bucket. And actually that's one of the one I can put it S3. And this is it would take the snapshot and persist to S3 bucket here. So that is the architecture we're going to be following to ensure that the snapshots are taking place. So with this, let's go back to the cluster, and by now it should be created. In the meantime, if it is not, we'll go to the Lambda creation. we can see the cluster is still at 25%. It does take some time. Meanwhile, and this is where you could click and see the status. So let's give it a few more minutes, probably 30 minutes, 40 minutes. In the meanwhile, let's start preparing the other stuff, that is the Lambda, the event bridge, the S3 bucket. So let's create an S3 bucket over here. And ideally you'd want to have this all scripted, CloudFormation, but I'm just going to do it from the console. Just use this bucket and mention the OpenSearch snapshot. I think this name may be taken. Let me put YT. I don't need anything. Shields, it's all disabled. Default is fine. And it should be good to go. So I have this bucket, which is now ready. So this is the bucket. So now let's start preparing the Lambda function. So here what I could do, I could come here, and this is where I could give the, like say I want a daily snapshot, and I can come here, and I like coding in Python. So I'll just choose Python. You could choose any language, it doesn't matter. Now this is where I need to create a new role. So let me flip and go to creating a new role. This is where I come here, open a new tab, and create a role. Actually, yeah, this is come here, create a role, and click create role, and just choose EC2 or Lambda because it puts a policy if you choose OpenSearch. Let me show you what I mean. It'll just go and add this policy, and I don't want to have this. I just prefer a little flexibility. So you don't need this policy. So come here and choose, say, EC2. Choose this one. Click next. And leave this by default. You don't need any of these policies. Actually, well, you do need it because it's going to be used in a Lambda. So actually, let me go back. This is for a Lambda. So let me choose the Lambda. So Lambda is good because we need to create another role. I'll show you later. But Lambda, you can just create it. Choose the VPC. Actually, there is no VPC here in my setup, so I don't need the VPC policy. And I can just hit next and choose OpenSearch role. And create role. I didn't want this. Let's see. Maybe it was some checkbox I had left checked. Just check the trust relationship. There you go. So Lambda is good. And now, here what we need to do, need to put the policy. AWS says you shouldn't use inline policy. I'm totally good with it because it doesn't make sense for me to go about creating a managed policy when I know that this policy is only good to be used by this rule. So that's where I'm fine, but try to listen to everybody and use your judgment on doing what is the right thing to do. So this is where you come here and we will make the policy out here. So what we need to do is, as showing, this is the Lambda rule and I have the policy drafted. So let me get the policy. This is the policy. This is the policy that needs to be part of the rule. So this is the one other rule that we first need to be created. So let me create this rule because the way it works in for the Lambda to take the snapshot is this is the one rule that needs to be assumed by OpenSearch, and that is where this rule needs to be created because this rule will need to be mapped to in the portal, in the dashboard, so that the required permissions there. I'll get to those steps so it is less confusing, but let me go ahead and create this rule here. So I can come here, open a new tab, click create role, and this is where I was saying, just choose for now EC2, we will change this later. And you can just skip this and just give a name. I'll just give this name and create the rule. Come here. Now this is where we need to change the trust relationship. So come here, edit those setup here, and you can just type in OpenSearch, and this should work. And if you want, you can make it for Elastic as well. We can make it for so this should take care of the role assumption. What this is saying is that the service OpenSearch or Elasticsearch can assume this rule. That is what we are saying. So I have did this thing, and now what in this policy, I'll come and I'll give the required permission. I could always use this, but I have the policy drafted. So let me come here, and this is the policy that I need to use. And for you all, I could zoom in. If you see, this is where what I'm saying is that this particular role should have access to list the bucket because this is the bucket where the snapshots would be put. And I should be able to I could just do a put object here instead of the get star object, but this is where you want to give the domain. So the domain, let me get the domain, and you want to restrict it to the required permission. But for the sake of this video, I'll just give full last thing I want to do is start debugging the permission issue. So let me just get the domain ARN. So the domain is created, as you see, and this is the ARN of the setup. And if I come here, I can just put this in the ARN, and essentially what I'm saying is anything in this domain, this particular role should have access to do. And this is a pretty powerful role. So don't give this, I'll change it. So what I'll do, I'll take this permission now and I'll put it in the role. And all the score-related policies are going to be part of the blog. All you have to do is just subscribe to the blog. There is no credit card, nothing information required. You just have to enter your credentials just so that we know you are not a bot, you are a real user. And you can have access to the blog and all this code as well. So now I come here and I can just replace this policy. I can give a name. I like to usually follow the naming convention of giving the rule and just change it to, let's see, and create the policy. So the policy is created, the rule is created, and this is the rule that need to give into the Lambda policy here. So let me go back to Notepad and show that JSON. So this is the JSON for the Lambda rule, and this is where I will be putting the ARN of the setup, and this is the bucket here that is required. And what I'm just saying is that I should have the get caller identity access. I should be able to list the buckets. I probably don't need this one. I just need this S3 put object. If required, I can remove it. But I don't want to again get to the debugging of IAM permissions. So which is where this setup is required. So let me copy this policy and put it in the IAM setup. So this is the new policy that's going to be there. And I can create the policy and I can give the same name. So now we have the Lambda rule that we are going to be using here. And this rule is going to be assumed by OpenSearch. I hope it is not confusing. And if you're still confused, you can go back, watch the video again, or read all these steps in the blog as well. So I take this name and I come here, this is fine. I use an existing role. Don't create a new rule, because first of all, the name is going to be a totally different naming convention. You wouldn't want that. Many organizations wouldn't want that. You would want to create a rule as the way I showed you. Give the required permission, and it'll be less bad name, right? You'll be using a much better name. So choose this. And if you have this in a VPC, you could do this, but I give it public access. Right, I just wanted to show you, I didn't want to get into the VPC. There are tons of videos out there where you can check out the VPC and all those details. And enable tagging as well. You should have tags. I don't need it for now. So I'll go ahead and create the function. So now this function is created. And what I need is a few things as part of this. So first of all, let me go ahead and change this configuration, because for taking a snapshot, and this is where it's a daily snapshot, I need to be, I can leave this thing allowance, the city daily snapshot. Actually, I'll just change it to that's fine. And I'll just make it 15 minutes. That's the max timeout for Lambda. Because taking a snapshot can take time. Obviously, it may not be 3 seconds, but 5 minutes will be done. But depending on your OpenSearch data size, it can take a long time as well, which is where you better off just give it 15 minutes. And in my experience, like we have worked on so many clusters where we have worked on large gigabyte set of data, probably not terabyte, but we have been able to pick the backups in 15 minutes. So this is what we have done. Now, a few other things we need to do is we need to create a layer. So I hope you all know what is a layer in Lambda. A layer essentially is that instead of me zipping, and what I will be doing as part of this code is I can go ahead and use a curator. And if we see in like Elasticsearch documentation, there is going to be Elasticsearch Curator. Using that, you can take a snapshot, you can delete a snapshot, And you can do a lot more with the Curator, and we used to use Curator a lot. The second option, which I'm going to show you the code for, is using OpenSearch API. And this is where I'm using AWS API. The same concept could be done at Elasticsearch. There's no difference. The API is available at Elasticsearch as well. But because I'm in OpenSearch and I find less packages to be done, I'll just go with the API-based approach. So let me show first. For that, I need to create a layer. What layers is essentially a package of all the libraries that are required for. And in this case, it is going to be taking the snapshot. You can go and read about layers. There's a lot of documentation in AWS documentation as well. If you have any questions, comments on how to create the layer, please drop in a comment and we will try our best to answer your question. Well, essentially the way the structure should be. For the sake of time, I've already taken the zip, but the way the structure is, there should be a Python folder. And in the Python folder, I should have all the repositories, all the libraries that are required. In this case, it is Elasticsearch is what I required. This is another library I required. This request is going to be important because I'm going to be using APIs. And similarly, the supporting packages are going to be required as well. So what I just need to do, I need to just unzip this file, and this is the file that I need to import as a layer. So let me show you the import process. So now if I come here and I go to the layer, what I need to do is I need to create a layer, and this is where if you see my layer is, I take snapshot, I can just say, but take OpenSearch snapshot, because this is what I'll be requiring. Description is optional. Feel free to give a description. And then, so yeah, this is, the description is optional. This is the zip I uploaded. Choose the runtimes. Well, I just like to select both. Choose the item version and just choose a few others if you feel that you may want to downgrade. But this is the package that you create. The automate, if I don't do this approach, is what I need to do is I will need to package all this function, including the packages or Python, and then I will need to upload it as a zip file. So let me show you what I mean, how I have to do that then. Wherein, so if I go here, and the way I would be doing is I would be like creating a zip file, and this is how I'd be doing, which will have the code, and it will have all the packages, but the issue with that is I will not be able to edit the code as I do, and it won't be so lightweight. It will be a bulky one, because if you imagine if I have to do this for 10, similar like style, I will be having 10 such zip file, which is unnecessary, and probably it will be costing more as well, so you don't need to do that. We have this setup done in layer, so what we need to do is we need to add the layer as well. So this is where I come, I choose the custom layer, and I choose this. It's going to be the first version. Click Add. And now your layer should be added here. Now we need to come here and add the code to be able to take the snapshot. So let me show you the code that I have written, and this code will be also available in the blog. So you can check it out from there as well. Okay, so this is the code. As you can see, a few libraries I'm using, Bodo 3 for AWS, request is for the API. And I want to go over each line. Essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these variables. I'm going to put it as a Lambda variable, get the credential, get the timestamp, because I would want to have the option of putting the snapshot at the timestamp with it. That is what I'm doing here. Put this in the base path, S3 base path URL, and accordingly call the API to take the snapshot. So this is the code that I will use. Let me copy it and move it to the Lambda. So I have it here, and I have this code saved. So now let me deploy this code. And also what I need to do is, I need to have the variables also as part of the setup. So now the code is deployed, and what I can do is I can come back to the configuration, because you see all these values is what I need to provide. They're currently empty. So I do need to provide all these values. So let me go back to the configuration and start putting all these values. Give the host name, and this is the URL. I mean the full URL. And in my code, the way I have it written is, I have it as a slash. So this is what I'm going to use. hit the read in. Yes, you could put it in the Python code as well. You can just announce the code. Okay. That's the bucket, which is the budget in the pocket is what I'm going to be adding here. This path is what I'm going to be putting, and this is where I'll just say, this is daily snapshots that I'm doing. Repo name, this is the repo name that when you query the OpenSearch, you will see the repo name as part of that, because what Elasticsearch OpenSearch they do, whatever snapshots we have, they will be putting in a repository that is created, and it could be an S3 bucket itself. So I just prefer to keep the same name. So you could just do this and choose the roll on. So this roll on has to be the OpenSearch roll on. Remember, the trust relationship is what we need to give. So let me just copy this on from here and add it in the function. So these are the variables we provided. Let me hit save. And now let's see if this works. It's not going to work, and that's why I just wanted to show you the few extra steps that are going to be required. And let me just give it a save this setup here. Save it. Click test. Okay, so we got an error here because the OpenSearch policy is what we need to update. So this is where you come in here, OpenSearch, and now we here in security configuration, come here and hit edit, and this you could leave there. You see this is a deny. Just change it to be allow. And this is where sometimes you do have this issue, so just give it the new username and password. Okay, so 1 and 64, this shouldn't be good. And so now I'm allowing access to this domain. And I save change. Which does take a few seconds because what OpenSearch does is it's a blue-green model it does. And if you click here, it's most likely spinning up even a simple change. It spins up a new cluster. And that way you have minimal downtime and the DNS is automatically switched. So that is the beauty of using a PaaS PaaS is a platform as a service compared to infrastructure as a service. So that's the beauty. You see, it's quickly done. It's next to no downtime. And AWS has taken care in the backend of the setup itself. So now if I go back to the function and run this, there you go. So this is the error I'm talking about, because now what I need to do is the next steps. I need to open the OpenSearch dashboard and do this next step. So let me show you that step. So I come here. This is the domain. This is the URL for the OpenSearch dashboard. Let me see the security group setting. Why is it not ready? Okay, so now the dashboard is up. It seems there was a glitch because the setup was probably being created. But I can give here the username that I created, the master username, and the password. Want you to save it. I'll be haven't discussed any years. So this is the dashboard. Just hit confirm, and the dashboard is being loaded. I could just do export on my own, dismiss for now. And if you have seen Kibana, this is a little different from Kibana. But you come here, and you see you have this menu right here compared to the previous version of either 8 or 7. It's a little different, but the functionality is almost the same. I didn't find much of a difference. So now what we need to do is we need to add this role, that the OpenSearch rule that we created, map to in Kibana as well, our OpenSearch dashboard as now they call it. So I come here, and this is where I come to the dashboard, and I go to security, and in security I click on role, and what I do is there's going to be a manage snapshot rule that is there. By default it is created. This one. So what I'll do is I will just come here and clone this role, duplicate this role. So this is where I'll just mention it, that some Arina managed snapshots, and it's called Arina, give it a different name, keep the same, right? Because pretty much all these permissions you would be requiring, and hit create. So when you do it this way, you will get the option of a mapped users. And now if I come here, in the map users, you come here, click this button. And now in the backend role, we need to give the ARN or Amazon resource name of this particular, ensure this is the one you're using with the trust, and you provide the backend role here. And click the map button. Now what this is saying is, this role has access to managing the snapshots. Because if you recollect, this is in the configuration, we have given this role that is being used for taking the snapshots. So it may seem a little confusing, but if you pay attention and read a little, I think you will get the hang of it. So now if I go run this test, let's see if this works. Okay, so there is still an error. So admin repository put is not there. So let us go back and check this particular role. It does have cluster, and that is where some permissions seem to be missing. Apparently adding a new, that other index to the role, the managed snapshot. This one, I did add this permission, because you see this is the error. Apparently that has not helped. So let me now try, I see another rule out there, the access I see. It does seem to provide full access. I don't want to be debugging in this video, but I think you get the point. You can make it find real access control, offshore pod FGAC. You can see which permission is missing, but you could do the same. You could come here, click this, do a duplicate, give it and give it whatever convention you want to use. Follow that, and yes, choose create. I come here, map users, and in backend role, let me give the same here. I give it here, the same URL, and map. Now let's see if this works. So I have this under setup, and I come here, and let me hit test. Because I'm closely looking at this arrow, this is for the other rule. The Lambda rule, it seems, is the important. I also need to map it. So let me take this on of this one. And I have added it in the same manage snapshot here. Manage snapshot arena. I didn't need to go to full access. Oh, yeah, I didn't need to add permission. But let's see if this works. So I had to add both the rules as part of this mapping. Let me hit map. And let's see if this works. I think it is, because taking 4 seconds, okay, there you do some other exception. Failed to verify repository. Snapshot is not authorized as tree get object. Okay, so this is the OpenSearch snapshot rule. And this is the permission. It's saying this particular permission. I took off this is where I need to edit actually. That is where I had put the start object because of these issues. So let me just go back and do the start object only. I start up, I can just put it, delete, get action here. And I don't need to delete, all it means is get. So this is what it is required. Hit next. I do save changes. Now let's run it again. Another error. On resource, okay, daily snapshots. This is where it is, not get object. So it is saying, this is where you really need to look at the error properly. OpenSearch snapshot rule is not authorized, and this is the one. And, this one also I have to update. Okay, my bad. So both the ones I had put it there. No, I did actually. And, where's there? There. Now, so let me just add it here. Sometimes you do need to put the whole thing. But for some reason I doubt this is going to work. Let's see if this makes a difference. Get object action. Okay, there you go. Maybe it took some time for the changes to be propagated, but now if I come here in S3 bucket, I will be able to see few objects in here. Okay, there you go. So it creates a folder, there is snapshots, and this is where it is taking the data here. There is no data in my domain. If I come here, I can see there is a little bit of, but there is not much, right? Little bit of data is there. 7.7 GB. This is the space actually there, but is this searchable? It's just 12, right? So, and this is where I can come here in the dashboard, and I can come and I can go to index management. This is a nice GUI. You can come here and see you can always put a snapshot policy, but the indices is one way you can go about doing it. Action, and you can see the indices that are created as part of the setup as well over here. So repositories, if you want, you can click the repositories over here, and you will see the daily snapshot repositories there. This is the AWS Curator default repository. The issue, and this is also hourly, but the issue with this is that this is only for in the region you can restore it, and in the same cluster. Say if I have a DR, and if say I want to spin up using the snapshot another cluster, I will not be able to do using this automated setup that AWS provides, and you will of course need to reach out to AWS because they control this data. So this was how you can do the setting of it. And since I'm here, let me just show you a few other things. Like these are the snapshots that you can see they will be taken as part of the setup here, right? So this is, you see the daily snapshot I took out here. It has the name set up out here. So we can go about doing it as well as the indices as well. And if we want, we can create the snapshot policy to delete the snapshot over here. So I can just keep like a daily snapshot, and I can just have it, the snapshot vision, and I can have the setup as well over here. So with this, I hope I was able to provide a good overview on how using Lambda, using serverless architecture, you can go about creating a snapshot over here, right? So I hope you were able to follow along and see how we were able to use serverless architecture and have automated snapshot. Now, if I want over here, I could always add a trigger where I could do a daily, hourly, or any schedule that is here. Like, and I could show you the setup out here. I could choose from Event Bridge, and I could create a new room, and it is daily trigger, and give this name and schedule, and just choose a rate of 1 day. And I don't need to do space, and then I could do a add. It will create this trigger for me that will kick off daily. I don't need to do it because I'm going to be deleting this. So, but I hope you get the point that you can kind of trigger it automatically. So this was using the serverless approach. Now, since I showed you already using the dashboard, in the dashboard itself, tapping with OpenSearch, they have provided this option to take the snapshots from the console as well. You can come here, you can come to this index setup, you can click on snapshot management. You can come here, create a policy for the snapshot. Now you can give a daily snapshot policy. It's a little simpler. And you can give a description. You want the specific indices you want. For now you can choose all indices, the repository for the snapshots, and the frequency that you want it daily. What is the time it does? What is the retention period of it? How many days you want it to be restored? Is it like 7 days? More to have it, you could put it here. Number of snapshots, pretend minimum 1, maximum you can give it as 3. And you can also have notification enabled. Say if a snapshot has failed, you can have a channel. You can create a channel as part of the setup where you can have this different when it is Amazon SNS. You can have Teams, email, then you can get a notification if a snapshot has failed. Now, This can be like onerous as well, but also a simpler one where you can have it. You can also change this to be hours if you want. So you can have both hourly and daily snapshot set up natively as well. The only thing is that need to see where the snapshot is persisted, because it seems it's going to be stored somewhere within, while with the S3, you could see you will have a lot more flexibility, especially when it comes to DR, disaster recovery, where you are able to replicate the data. So with this, I'll let you be, and I'll let you play along with the different approaches that I explained, and you can study with yourself, and basic things you can read the documentation. This is an advanced subject, but please drop in your comment, question, and if you have any clarification, we'll try to get back to you. But as usual, please like, subscribe, share the channel, subscribe to our newsletter, and look out for the next topic next week. Thank you, and have a great day.